And at other times you're thinking, well, I need to get information out of a table. Why not a VLOOKUP? There are times there too when it doesn't quite meet your needs. So look at the situation here. There's a table in columns D through I. Imagine that this possibly is on another worksheet. And again, for ease of use, we'll put this on the same worksheet here, but we want to be able to extract information from here based on, for example, April DVD drives. Looking ahead, of course, we'd be looking in here, and that's the number we hope to get a hold of. And we can't really come up with a sensible way to do this with a VLOOKUP. And match will tell us where this is within a given range, both for the month and this, but we need to put this together in pieces perhaps at least the first time through. So let's show different ways to use the match and index function together. First of all, let's locate April in this list by simply using the match function. We're trying to find April, comma, in this list. We know it's there, we see it, and it's located, comma, and we'll find out in a moment. Of course, we would know ahead of time if we're looking for an exact match here. The match function tells us the relative position of April in this list. It's in the 4th position, pretty apparent. And we want to do the same kind of thing with disk drives, and we'll be looking up here. It's in the 1st position of the list up there. You see that ahead of time, so a similar function. Trying to match DVD drives, comma, using this range. That's where we're looking, and we need to find an exact match or put in a 0, and we have that information. So with that knowledge in hand, we can use an index function now to look at this range of data here. Index gives us the ability to first define the table we're looking at, and we need to get information out of a certain row here. And it's the 4th row, because it's April, but we see that right here, so we'll refer to this cell here. We'll reposition this in a second, recreate this using match inside of index. For the moment, we're just picking up the references. So, comma, and the column was derived from the fact that DVD drives here is actually the 3rd position. And that's all we need. This is the table we're looking to extract information from. This is the row reference. This is the column reference. We're done. 4565. We see that information under April DVD drives right there. Now, as you use these more often and more often, not everybody, but certainly some of you will use them with enough frequency to, in effect, build these as you go. And there's no real requirement to do this. In fact, some people might think it's better to leave the function like this. But why not, rather than having this here? Go back to this function here, highlight this text here, and simply hit Control-C, or you can use the copy button here off the Home tab right then and there. Copy just that part without the equal sign. Hit Escape, come back into here, perhaps double-click, or do it in the formula bar. Instead of this, let's paste in Control-V or the paste button, that argument. Complete that for the moment, come back here and do the same sort of thing with this reference. Highlight just that portion of it, copy it, escape, come back into the function here, and position this here, and paste that into there. Now, that may or may not be the ideal solution. It depends upon who's going to be using this. Is it you? Do you use these frequently and so on? But using match and index together, and perhaps using them separately or putting them together the way we see here, there's no question that it gets us the answer. But I think you might debate with yourself sometime about what might be most efficient, but you see how we can use the two together to get information out of this table. Now, there's another set of information off to the right here in columns K, L, M. And let's imagine, too, that that information is located in one worksheet and in another location, perhaps another workbook, another worksheet. We need to find the person's name here. Here's the social security number. And once again, first thought might be VLOOKUP. We're trying to look up this information. But VLOOKUP requires that we look up information in the left column of a table, and there's no possibility with VLOOKUP to then look leftward. First thought might be, why don't you just move the table columns around a little bit? Well, let's imagine that this is in a worksheet and other formulas are already created. Or maybe this is in a different workbook that you can only use to extract information from. Let's say that this arrangement is there, it's cast in stone, as we say, you cannot change it. We need to find out not only that this exists, but we need to find out the name of this person. So the first approach here would be to use the match function to see where it appears in column M. Equal match. Left parenthesis, we're looking at this value, comma, we're looking at column M, and we need to find an exact match, comma, 0. And that's found in the 12th positioning. There it is right there. We see it ahead of time. Now, once we've found that, we now want to use that as the row reference and an index. So leaving this here in place, let's use index. Now, where are we looking here? We're actually need only looking in column K. Now, column K and column M are in sync with other in the sense that they're parallel, comma. In this table in column K, we need to get information out of which row. It's going to be the 12th row, and we already know the row from here. So that's in place. Now, since it's only a single column, we don't even need to put in a column reference. If we did have a situation where this had to come out of a different column, we'd put that in. We don't need that here. We do need the right parentheses. And by hitting enter, we've got the name. There's Thomas Watson. And so this will work for the other entries as well. Simply double click and they all fall into place. So sometimes you'll use an index and match using this approach, which is certainly more direct than our previous example, but you get the idea of how match and index frequently are used together to circumvent some of the limitations of VLOOKUP.